It's your council. Take part in it. Learn about the PD Area Council coming up next on Carolina People. Good morning. Welcome to Carolina People. This morning we're at the Allen Clemens campsite at Camp Coker in Society Hill. We're focused on the PD Area Council of the Boy Scouts and the 75th anniversary of Camp Coker. And we're visiting with Reverend David Surrett, the pastor at Wesley United Methodist Church and the district chair for the Great Northern District of the PD Area Council. Good morning, David.
Good morning, Greg.
Thanks so much for being with us
Good
this
to be
morning.
with you. Good
Incredible
to be with you.
Sitting out here on a Tuesday at Camp Coker. To think behind us is the lake here at the campsite. And just 2 years ago, this was covered in trees. There was virtually nothing here.
That's right. That's right. It's one of our 2 new campsites that have been developed in recent years.
It is gorgeous. Truly gorgeous. David, can we talk real quick about yourself? Are you originally from the PD?
No, I'm originally from the western part of the state, from Aiken, horse country, kind of like Camden, if anybody knows about Camden, and grew up in that area until I went off to seminary even, at Duke Divinity School. So.
Yes, in Durham.
In Durham, that's right.
Nice area.
Yeah.
When did you assume your responsibilities at Wesley United Methodist Church?
In June of 2001, so I'll be finishing my 2nd year in just a few weeks. Won't be very long.
Can you share with some of the viewers a little bit about Wesley United? Where's that located? And
It's downtown. We're celebrating the 100th anniversary of our sanctuary. It was the first brick sanctuary built in the city of Hartsville, so it has lots of history with it. Our educational building is 80 years old, and we've just gone through a major construction and renovation project. Eventually, we'd like to see about getting our sanctuary on the National Register of Historic Places. That's one of our goals for our sanctuary building. But we have folks from a lot of walks of life. We host a soup kitchen downtown. That's one of our most important outreach projects. 5 days a week, we feed folks regardless of their background or whatever. And they just come and sign their name, and they're fed a meal Monday through Friday. And that's one of our ministries that we're most proud of to the community, and our scouting ministries and a lot of others that we're involved with.
Absolutely. I think I called your voicemail last week and had heard that you were out on vacation, you were taking some time off, or this was a couple of weeks ago, getting ready for much of a big event that was happening out here at Camp Coker, and to think at the end of it, you said, and I'm doing some activities with the Boy Scouts.
That's right.
Your activities with the Boy Scouts stand out as well as so many other things that Wesley United Methodist Church is doing in the community. That means a lot. Do you have family here in the area, David?
Yes, my wife teaches at Hartsville High School, and we have 3 children, boys and a daughter in the middle, oldest son who just completed his Eagle Scout rank, and our daughter who's a junior Girl Scout, and our youngest son is a very active Weebelo. In fact, I had to bring him out to camp this weekend, or he came and visited and had to go on the archery range. That's his favorite place to go at Camp Coker. Yeah. So I had promised him for several months to go to the archery range, and we finally were able to do it a few weekends ago. So
that's fantastic. David, where were you prior to ending up in Hartsville at Wesley United Methodist Church?
I was in Greenville in a suburban congregation for 5 years, which we enjoyed greatly. We enjoyed Hartsville tremendously, and different sort of ministry than at Wesley, but comparable. And we went through a lot of building while I was there as well, and it was a very mission-oriented congregation. We had a lot of programs in English as a second language. That was one of the emphases of that congregation. We taught Hispanics, Koreans, other internationals English. It was one of the first satellite programs set up by the Greenville Literacy Council was at our facility.
David, how exciting! When you think about all the experiences in Greenville as well as any other congregations you've been involved, does scouting wrap in somehow to your life? Has it made an impact from an early age?
Oh yes, I was a scout growing up, and I've had scouting in every congregation we've served. In fact, I established a new congregation at Pawleys Island in the mid-1980s, and we had a Cub Scout pack before we even had a church building. We met in the Waccamaw Elementary School before we established the congregation. The Cub Scout pack was up and off the ground. So I've had scouting all my life and in every congregation I've ever served.
So you were in scouting as a youngster. Did you ever attain the rank of Eagle?
Yes, I was an Eagle Scout, or am an Eagle Scout, and I went through all the steps. My oldest son just has finished his Eagle as well.
You think about now, as district chair for the Great Northern District, you're obviously intimately involved with the Peay Area Council. How did you get involved when you first showed up in town?
Well, one of the executives came and left his card on the day I moved in. I wasn't even in the office. I was at home unpacking. But I had known him in the upper part of the state.
Right.
And so we were, from almost the get-go, I was involved when I moved to the PD area.
How exciting. David, obviously for a lot of viewers who may not be familiar with the word Eagle may sound strange, attaining the rank of Eagle. For viewers who may not be familiar with the Boy Scout program, what exactly does that mean?
It's the highest rank of Eagle, of Scouting rather, is the Eagle. It involves a number of merit badges in vocational and specialty interest areas that are completed. It involves leadership service. It involves a major service project that you're required to be involved in and guide and lead in. A number of years of service that are required and membership in the Boy Scouts before the rank of Eagle is completed. My son just finished his Eagle, and his Eagle project was renovating. He completed it while we were still in Greenville, and he renovated the playground at our preschool at the church there, and had to involve other boys. The Eagle candidate is required to acquire the supplies and prepare a budget and actually execute the project and involve others in it. It's not just going and fixing something. It's a more intricate process that must be approved by your scoutmaster and the other adult leaders in your community as well.
True teamwork.
It definitely is. That's the purpose behind it, is to develop teamwork and leadership skills as well as citizenship, which are some of the values of scouting.
That teamwork, leadership skills, citizenship were things you received in your youth as a scout. Has that scouting experience helped you in your adult life, David?
Oh, very much so. I've learned skills as in scouting that have helped me throughout my ministry. In fact, I learned probably more practical program planning, administrative skills through scouting than I did in seminary, as much as my seminary experience was enriching and wonderful. I had one of my church lay leaders, who's a bank president in Hartsville, who stopped by the church just today, and he mentioned to me a man in our community, Eddie Drayton, who had been his scoutmaster. And I know both of these men, and I can see the influence that scoutmaster had on this man in his life and how it molded and shaped his life. It was really interesting to put the two people together. I knew both of them, but I did not know their connection. But to realize the influence of that scoutmaster on that man who's one of the most dynamic, energetic, progressive leaders in Hartsville, I think, in many ways.
And those same at that time, young men growing up were attending Camp Coker. They were involved with the Peay Area Council. It was the same council it was then. Folks think that council may be different than the current council, or that the times have changed. You still feel it's important the scouting experience continues to be available to young people, not only in the Hartsville community or the Great Northern District, but throughout the Peay Area Council?
Absolutely, and we work to make scouting creative and interesting and related to current needs and interests, even though we still teach the basic same scouting values. It's much like what we do in the church. We teach the same biblical principles, but it's necessary to update those and make those fresh and current, or it really doesn't relate to people's lives, and it especially will not relate to young people's lives if you don't adapt it and make it applicable and interesting for them. They're not going to participate if you don't do that.
Absolutely.
And so that's crucial to do that.
That's a great test of your skills. Forcing you to keep things up to date for the youth.
It does. It has to make you stay fresh and alert and alive, and scouting's changed from when I was a youth, definitely, but it still has a lot of the same things that are the core values are still there, I think, very much so. And a camp, the camp facility has had to change sort of with the times as well.
Right.
You know, we have female scout leaders now, and we didn't have that even when I was growing up to the degree that we have now. So we even make some adaptations for that. But I think it's an enriching part of the program to have folks from all walks of life, which is another advantage of scouting. It hopefully, and we work very hard to reach out to folks from different segments and groups within society and all the communities as well.
David, do your children help keep you in tune with what's happening and what's needed in the youth?
Oh yeah, they very much so do. I try to listen to the music that my children listen to and see what they're looking on at television and what they're reading, and we go to movies together to watch things so that we can. I think that's one way you can kind of keep your pulse on your kids, is if you listen to what they're involved in. And my dad and my mom did that with us growing up too, so it's something I've kind of modeled from them.
I'll keep that in mind. Absolutely. There's another group within scouting which you were once a member and continue to work with in an advisory position. Can you tell the viewers a little about that group and the event that just took place here about 10 days ago at Camp Coker?
I've always been very involved in the Order of the Arrow, which is the National Honor Society within scouting. That's what the sash that I'm wearing represents.
Yeah.
And it is, as I said, the National Honor Society within scouting. It's a group of older boys who are elected by their troop. They're not elected by the Order of the Arrow members. They're elected by their local troop. Adults are only included to be there as advisory and honorary capacities. It's a youth-run program, just like the Boy Scouts, teaches leadership and encourages folks to do that. And I was a state officer as a youth within the Order of the Arrow, so it's very dear and special to me. But I think it's a wonderful program also to help retain older boys in the program too, because it gives them a whole nother avenue and set of experiences and activities and skills that they can develop through the Order of the Arrow.
Well, what was the big deal that happened here 2 weekends ago?
We had a 3-state Order of the Arrow conclave that met here at Camp Coker. We had 1,002 registered scouts and adult scouters who were here from all over South Carolina, central and western North Carolina, and eastern Georgia. So we had folks from all over coming to Camp Coker.
And there is a lodge for the PD Area Council. Did you tell me it was Lodge 116?
Lodge 116, Santee Lodge, and that covers the whole PD Area Council, all of our counties from the PD down to the Strand and all around.
I think I read that Lodge 116 has been praised constantly for providing, obviously for being the host, it's spectacular hospitality for the weekend, both for the facilities, the food, the programs, everything that was handled so well.
I think it went off just especially well. It took lots of preparation, a great deal of work. I had some wonderful adult leaders. One of our very faithful scouters, Randy Deaton from Florence, who's a very long-term scouter, a realtor in Florence, who was my associate advisor. And we had folks from Sumter and the Beach and Hartsville and Florence and Dillon, every place who participated. We had 125 staff members for the 1,002 folks that we had here, and we completed a good number of camp improvements to the facilities and updated and freshened parts of the facilities to get ready for this event.
How exciting. Am I correct? It was either Jim Head or maybe your wife that told me you won some special award here at the conclave.
Well, I was surprised because I won the God and Service Award, which is a national United Methodist Religious Scouting Award. A good dear friend of mine from Greenville nominated me for it, unbeknownst to me, because you don't nominate yourself. And so they surprised me, and folks kind of stood around me before it happened, and I figured something was going on. But, anyway.
How exciting, David. I think I saw on the front page of the lifestyle section of the Hartsville paper last Wednesday was a little write-up about so many activities happening this weekend, or that weekend out here at Camp Coker. It must have been incredible.
It was. It was a enriching experience, I think, for everyone that was here, and the weather cooperated well, and we had lots of food, so they were happy about that.
Absolutely, I'm sure.
We just feed the stomachs, you feed the soul. You know. So,
I think someone was talking about the lines were moving. They had a tent set up that would seat as many as 800 folks. The lines are moving like clockwork.
They were. We fed, I think at lunch on Saturday, we fed the whole group in 15 minutes. That was a simpler meal to serve, but
wow.
We had a huge tent brought in from Columbia that we used to feed under, and took a crew of about 10 guys a day to put it up and take it down.
Wow.
So it was pretty intriguing to watch it go up.
And there's so many more questions I want to ask you. I've got a litany of questions on here, but we just don't have any time. But I really want to ask, as a lifelong enthusiast of the Boy Scouts, can you tell us what scouting has meant to you, David?
Oh gosh, it's provided friends that I've had for almost all of my life, adult mentors and folks who've been guides and influences for me. It has afforded me opportunities to travel and experience places and people that I would not have been able to before. It's made me a better person and pastor and a leader of my congregation. So it's provided me a huge number of leadership, citizenship, personal opportunities. I think probably the Hartsville paper asked me why I did what I do, and I culled it down basically to personal fulfillment. That's very kind of self-centered, but for me that's been wonderful and amazing. And but you also meet so many wonderful people and have the opportunity to help and serve in a way that's a little different from what I do at the church, but comparable to what I do at the church also.
Comparable to what he does at the church. There was a PD area council executive there the first day he arrived in Hartsville, and you think back to the time in Pawleys Island or in Greenville or even at Duke and Divinity School, growing up in Aiken, that experience of setting up a scout troop or getting a Cub Scout troop going on down in Pawleys even before getting a congregation going. How exciting. David Surrett. And watching your son wrap up his Eagle recently. How very exciting. Thanks so much for being with us this morning. Thanks for everything you did out here.
Thank you, Greg.
To make it a big success.
Being here to highlight the camp and the program. We appreciate it a lot.
Absolutely. Stay tuned to Dr. Harrell Docherty coming up next on Carolina People. Good morning. Welcome back to Carolina People. This morning we're at the Alan Clemens campsite at Camp Coker in Society Hill. We're focused on the 75th anniversary of the camp and the PD Area Council, and we're visiting with Dr. Harrell Docherty, a rheumatologist with PD Internal Medicine Service and the Camping Committee Chairman. Good morning, Dr. Docherty.
Good morning.
Thanks so much for being with us this morning.
My pleasure.
Exciting sitting out here and thinking so much of what you do, this year of service here on the Executive Board of the PD Area Council, helping to upfit the camp and get so much ready for what just kicked off this past Friday. Kids started arriving. They're going to be coming in all summer long. How exciting.
Oh, it hopefully this is going to be a nice big summer. You're right, we started off with a big bang. They had well over 1,000 boys here just last week, and it was a Order of the Arrow conclave they had, which is a meeting of 3 states basically here. They had the largest conclave in the United States, actually. So it seems to be a big start for the summer, hopefully.
Absolutely, absolutely. Harold, are you originally from the area?
Yes, sir. I'm born in Columbia, but basically have grown up in Florence most of my life, and my family's from the area.
Where did you attend school?
I went to West Florence High School in Florence, and then went to college locally at Francis Marion, and then went down to MUSC in Charleston.
And you did your residency?
I did my residency actually in Tennessee, out in Memphis at the University of Tennessee.
Great, good.
Decided to leave the area for a little bit.
And something brought you back to Florence. What do you think it was?
Strangely enough, it's actually Florence. I decided after being away from it, it's actually a very good place to be. Family, my family's here, my wife's family's here, and just the people in general.
Are there any future scouts in the family?
Hopefully. I've got two little ones. Right now they're still a little too young to be in Scouts, so one's already got his uniform and likes coming to meetings with me periodically, so we're hoping.
That's great. That's exciting. Harrell, were you a Scout growing up?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. I started, actually I attended Camp Coker here. My first year was 1979, and started off in Boy Scouts. I never did Cub Scouting or anything like that, but once I got hooked, I stayed in it basically continuously and through today, actually. Was just slightly involved. I didn't have much time during my residency and some of my schooling, but for the most part, I've done an acting scout as an assistant scoutmaster several times, and worked up here at camp even for a couple summers as the program director, and have just basically enjoyed scouting my whole life so far.
Oh, yeah. Do you have any special memories of your time associated with Camp Coker?
Oh, got a lot of good ones for Camp Coker. A lot of them have to do with even just some of the staff, because some of the staff that taught some of the merit badges when we were here, I've gotten friendships with them, even if they were several years older. I've met them in the community, able to reminisce with them about a lot of things. Just some of my lifelong friends I've also met up here, and then some of the other fun experiences as far as things we're not supposed to do at camp, like some simple camp pranks and things that live in the memory forever. Right. And then some of the other festivals that we do, so through the Order of the Arrow and the pageants and things that we've done. There's a pile of memories in there.
Harrell, when you came back to Florence and joined PD Internal Medicine Service, what do you think prompted you to return to work with the Boy Scouts or volunteer with the Boy Scouts?
That's a really good question. I think scouting, I feel gave a lot to me, and I think through volunteering and helping, I think there's a lot of things that scouting can give to others, and so if I can allow my time to be used so that somebody else gets some opportunities, some of these boys actually may go further than they may if not, if they're left to joining a local street gang or dropping out of school or something. I think most of the scouts and all the ones I've worked with, I've seen come large directions, and I've seen guys that have been on our troop in the past go on to actually be fairly successful, fairly happy, and I think being able to give that back to the community, I think is a plus, because there's a lot of people out there that don't have opportunities to do something. And through scouting, I think that gives that opportunity back.
Harrell, obviously, as the camping committee chairman of the PD Area Council Executive Board, you're instrumental, and to think through all the things. Why do you think Camp Coker is important to the scouting experience?
It's very important because it's part of scouting is having a long-term camping experience. A lot of scouting people associate with being outdoors. Through Camp Coker, you're outdoors the whole time, and again, a lot of inner-city youth don't have an opportunity to be outside by a lake, boating, camping, shooting, and things like that. It gives you an opportunity also to earn some of the merit badges that you wouldn't otherwise have an opportunity to earn, again, as an inner-city person. Through camp, also, you get the opportunity to meet scouts from other areas. And so here at Camp Coker, you're at camp with people from the beach, you're with people from Sumter, from up in Cheraw, Williamsburg County, places that you might never have an opportunity to go meet. And even then, we'll have out-of-state trips. We've had guys from New York come in. And even foreign scouts. Okay, when I was on staff, we had staff members from England and Ireland are the two places when I was on staff, and we had some others from other countries before.
Amazing.
So it's a fairly big opportunity, I think, for the boys, and adds to the adventure of scouting rather than just a weekend trip, and sort of puts the mettle to the test a lot of times.
What about some of the new programs that have been added? We've got about a minute.
Some of the program type things that we're looking into and trying to do are aimed more at getting the older youth or guys that have already earned most of the merit badges at camp into doing so. Long-range hiking programs, using the PD River and actually doing long water trips. We're going to be trying to get into more rifle range things and getting black powder, pistol range, and trying to do some things like that. They've also got a really great addition out here, which is the COPE course, which is basically a rope, high rope course that teaches confidence, teamwork, and quite exhilarating.
Yeah.
They've also got a nice new climbing tower out here, which is open up for getting boys the opportunity to practice actually climbing and rappelling. And it's a fairly tough little tower there. So a lot of good programs out here, and we'll keep looking and trying to find more things to bring the boys in and sort of pique their interest and their curiosity. And I think the camp's got a lot of potential, and just a fraction of it's still been touched.
You heard him say it. The camp's got a lot of potential, and virtually a fraction of it's been touched. There's so much more to do out here in Camp Coker. Kicked off this past Friday. It's going to be going on all summer long. Should be a full house. If you'd like to volunteer, you can call 843-662-6306. You can check with Dr. Harrell Docherty or check with anyone there at the PD Area Council of the Boy Scouts. Harold, thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Stay tuned to more Carolina People coming up next. Call 843-662-6306 to learn how you can make a positive impact in the lives of our youth.